Hello, this is Matthew Beazle trying to figure out how to share my screen. It appears like it should be. Says it is, yet is not. Okay, so check, check. Everyone able to hear? Like, well, we're going to go under the assumption. Just now got audio. Beautiful. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So, what we're doing this week here is we're kind of going over the advanced UI for Bobcat Cam. The way I kind of decided to do this, originally I was going to kind of look into some example parts and stuff, but that would kind of have us hopping back and forth between the graphics area and the UI and, back to the standard UI from the advanced. I thought that might be a little bit too jumpy. So what I decided to do, and along the way, if you guys have any questions, Bill says he has no audio or video. John, you're saying no, you get me, right? Uh, well, looks like John is able. Okay, and yeah, I'm getting feedback that everyone else is. So we'll just continue on. I apologize if anybody's having issues. So what I have here is Bobcat Cam V36. In this, all I've really done is just created a job. And in that, I've used, okay, beautiful. Good to have you here, John. What I have here is a 3-axis feature. And in that, I've added all the pro features. Now, I'm going to throw this over on the right. And now I also have V37. So you may see a couple little spoilers in here, but this is not really about the update. But since we don't have like 2 programs, you can only have 1 program at once. This is the kind of the way I got to show it to you, so you can see both. I have the same thing over here. I have a job. I have a 3-axis feature with all of the pro options. A video and okay, great. Good to have you, Bill. So I have the same thing over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in the left-hand side. And the reason we're doing this is because what I'd like to be able to do is pop open my wizard on this and pop open my wrong one. Pop open my wizard on this. So we can kind of see a side-by-side thing about what kind of options you're going to have in your advanced UI over the standard UI. Standard UI, obviously, we work real hard on, but there are things that kind of go way above and beyond in the advanced UI, even when it comes down to like the organization of it, which we'll kind of go over along the way. So in here, we add in our machining strategy, the operations, of course. As you go to an operation, you're going to be faced with this. Your UI choice between whether you want to go into the standard UI or the advanced UI. In 36, we're just going to keep it with the standard. And the way that I would do that, I would just hit next and bam, I'm in my tool page and we're going to be moving through step by step. Now, in the advanced UI, in case you've never encountered this, you're going to click, of course, advanced UI and then just click open advanced parameters. And now I'm into my feeds page, which is pretty similar to the tool page there. Now, as you move through the advanced UI, you're actually going to move that through with the tabs up here. You'll see we have surface paths, tool axis control, gouge check, links, roughing, and utility. Now, these are going to vary based on the operation you have. Like, even when you get into some of the multi-axis, you'll see some of those actually vary greatly depending on what that operation has available to it. But right now, we're just going to dive into the surface paths page and kind of see where that compares along the way in a standard UI. Now, in here, you're still in your patterns group. This kind of correlates to the patterns page. You'll see in the standard UI, we can choose between offset in, out, morph, spiral, etc. You can choose your method, whether it's zig, zigzag, cut direction, your start location, stuff like that. Over in here, you're going to have the same options, offset, parallel, adaptive, etc., your depths of cut, yada, yada. But there's a couple things that organizationally are going to be different. For instance, the DHC, which is your dynamic holder collision avoidance. This is kind of like your Guage Check stuff, where we do still have this in the standard UI, but that's actually going to be in a Guage Check page where you can come in here and get to those same kind of options. Now, some things that we don't have in the standard UI that you are going to get in the advanced UI. You'll notice this profile pass option. Now, the profile pass essentially is as you rough out your part, you can do one additional pass that just kind of goes around the wall or the extent of the path to give kind of like a little pre-finished pass. In that, you have a ton of options. You can choose whether to do that on every single slice as you go down, depth of cut by depth of cut, or just on the last slice. You can decide between the spacing in here, how far away it is from your actual path, and of course, what compensation. And you'll notice there's even some extras here, whether it's a computer or what we would call system in the standard UI, control, wear, inverse wear, or just none at all. You're also going to have a compensation radius to decide, how much of a radius you're going to want in your corners. You'll notice you have your horizontal and tangent arcs. These are going to be your lead-in, lead-outs to those profiles. The extensions, what kind of additional extension you're going to put on those leads, and how it's sorted, whether it's like a one-way, you're going to keep that same pass all the way around, whether that's going to be a zigzag, and of course, whether that's going to be a climber conventional type of thing, and even so much as defining how much of an overlap you're going to put between your entry and your exit to kind of hide some of those marks. Now, we're also going to have an additional depth step option called Advanced. Now, in the Advanced, you'll see what we're able to do in here is do first depth, depth step, or even give that a value. This kind of helps you define exactly where those cuts are going to be. Over in parameters, you do have a minimum depth step, but nothing really that is able to specify exactly where those steps are supposed to be. We do still have intermediate slices that is also available in the standard UI. We have your machining flatlands. That's going to be in the standard UI as well. So you'll see a lot of this stuff still exists in the standard UI, but I will say that even the stuff that exists already, it is organized a little bit better. I do kind of like going through the advanced UI. Now, another thing we're going to have is in the machining flatlands, we're going to have a flat tolerance. Oh, and actually, before we get into that, let's do this. We'll show you that right there, actually. Flat tolerance for your machining flatlands, which is not available in the standard. One thing I do want to touch base on, which is actually going to be in most of these, that is not really available in the standard UI, is going to be a Stepover option for cusp height. With this, you're not really even considering your Stepover. You'll notice, for instance, like let's see what we're at right now here. We're at 005. If we move this to, well, you'll notice it right now, the maximum Stepover updating as we go. By setting our cusp height based on our, the roundness of our tool, whether we're using a, ball nose, what have you, this will actually adjust the Stepover based on the cusp height we want to end up with at the end. This is not something you can see over here is available in your standard UI. Now, as we move through this surface paths page, we'll get into this little area group here. One thing is sharp corners. This is going to allow you to kind of eliminate some of these rounded corners in your offset and try to produce that nice sharp corner. We have your fixture curves. This is similar to 2D containment. You can kind of think about this as like the inverse of that. We do still, of course, have 2D containment. You can set up a bound. You can select your containment curves. You can decide whether it's going to let the tool ride the center of this, keep it inside, keep it outside, set your offset, all that, etc. You guys are all used to boundaries, I'm sure. See, John, if you have a question, I see you saying hello in there. If you do have a question, just go ahead and type it out. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the chat and the presentation. So yeah, feel free to put a question in there, and I'll try to get to those as we go through. But yeah, so anyway, the 2D containment curves, this is your standard boundary that you're used to. Here I'm going to pick some geometry. I want to stay inside of this geometry. With your fixture curves, that's kind of the inverse. What you're doing is kind of selecting some curves to stay away from. So this kind of gives you an extra option. Oh, sorry, you missed the first 10 minutes. So to catch you up just real quick, kind of the way I'm presenting this advanced UI is we have V36 on our right, where I'm kind of walking through the advanced rough through the standard UI. Over on the left over here, I have the exact same operations. They're all the pro features and the 3-axis. But we're moving through the advanced UI. So this is kind of how we're going to kind of contrast and compare as we lead through some of these operations. You'll see in here we're in the surface paths. This is also the advanced rough to the right. All it is, though, it's the standard UI that you're probably used to. So anyway, let's see, where were we? Note. Fixture curves, I apologize. So yes, with the fixture curves, it's kind of like the opposite of your 2D boundary, where instead of trying to stay inside of the selected geometry, this is going to give you a way to avoid some selected geometry, just to kind of give you a little bit more control, allow you to do something you might not have been able to do in the standard UI there. This will also let you choose a closed offset, where you can see, normally with the open kind of pocket area, you're going to be going past it. In some cases, you don't want that. So rather than have to create yourself a boundary, this is just going to kind of keep it inside of there. It is smart enough to kind of ride the lines, so you're not staying inside. You are still cutting that edge, but it's not going way past like you see in the top picture there. A lot of these are going to have really good illustrations to kind of show you what they are as you move through it. You'll notice that in the standard UI too, how we do have images for most things that you're going to try to, that you may have some questions about, let's say. A lot of those images are going to clear it right up for you. You'll be able to glance at it. You'll say, oh, yeah, okay, no problem. For those instances that we do not have an image, give me one sec. you will be able to pop open the help system. That's actually what I do over here. I manage the help system, everything that we're coming out with. I make sure it's documented, have everything set up for you. Everything should be in here. If you ever have any question, you can access this through the software. The way I have it set up in the TOC, you'll notice, I kind of just try to have it make sense. You have your system requirements, your CAD, CAM, overview, everything like that. You'll notice down here you have your user interface, questions about geometry selection. We have CAD, we have CAM. So in our case, like let's say we did have a question about that advanced rough, the advanced UI. We're going to click in the CAM. This, of course, relates to milling. You can kind of see how everything's organized through here. So I click on mill. I have everything kind of doubled up in here. I have it divided by mill features. So, if we're looking at general 3-axis, maybe I'd want to come in here and take a peek around. But in this case, we have a question about a specific operation. So I can click right on operations. Here's all our drilling stuff. Here's all our basic 3D. Here's our advanced rough that we have a question about. So I would open that up, and you'll see right here, I have an option for the standard UI and the advanced UI. If we click on this, the tab that we're in is surface paths. And again, you can see how I kind of have it grouped here. You'll notice these groups. I have pattern, area, sorting, surface quality. I try to set this up so that as you're going through it, it matches exactly where you're looking at stuff in the software. So here's your patterns. Here's your advanced depth step page, etc. Your intermediate slices. Under area, here's all the undercuts, and here's that closed offset. And again, everything should be in here. And of course, if you do come in here and you ever have any suggestions, you have any comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to reach out for us. We are known for being able to step up and get things added, corrected, whatever, very quickly. People have had a question about the help system before where, in the next 15 minutes, I can tell them, go ahead and update your browser, refresh your browser, and they'll be able to see those changes there. So we do look forward to your feedback all the time. So anyway, as we're going through here again, we had to close the offset. We also offer in here a draft angle. Haven't run into any real life experiences of how we may want to use that. But basically it's kind of like you see it. We start a little bit wider around the outside of the stock and kind of eat in as we get toward our finished part in the bottom of it. I don't have a machining background, so some of you may see the benefit automatically. I don't know. So now another thing we do have here is a silhouette containment. What the silhouette containment does is essentially, you don't have to create a 2D boundary that you then have to select. This is going to take the part from the direction of your machining, create a silhouette of that part, and then utilize that as your boundary. You can then decide whether you're just going to do, the part silhouette, the edge is the edge, and that's all we're doing. You can go down to the part height and just, intelligently be able to move over enough to get that tool all the way to the bottom. Or even tool contact, where you're saying, yes, I do want to rub the edges of that part, but I don't want to go all the way to the bottom. So this gives you a lot of control in there. And of course, you can add a little extra offset to that if you need to. Like, for instance, with the tool contact, if you want to roll just over the edge a little bit. Which actually you'll see we have that as an option. Edge rolling in, I believe it's the advanced C level, but we'll get there. All right, let's see. Next, silhouette containment and surface quality here. You have your cut tolerance. Obviously, that's available in the standard UI as well. But we do have some advanced options in here. What this allows you to do is choose what kind of output you're looking for, whether it's a fit arcs and point distribution, really just point distribution, or high surface quality where you don't really got to think. It just tries to, increase the surface quality. This is kind of a high tolerance there. But for fit arcs, if you're doing that, fit arcs and point distribution, this will allow you to fit arcs, whether it's, any just coordinate, depending on what your machine can do there. Arc fit links. So as you're doing the links, it's trying to break it down from points into actual arcs. What kind of tolerance we want to allow that for. And then for point distribution, again, this is like, setting the maximum distance between points, the minimum distance between points, and, again, your deviation factor. So this kind of lets you really get into the nitty gritty as far as how is this toolpath being calculated, how far my points allowed to be apart, on those flat surfaces, for instance. Some softwares could put points at the very end, and if it's flat, that's great, but that may be an issue for you, and you may want to kind of get in there and decide for yourself exactly how those points are calculated, and this will let you do that. All right, now we've already gone over the cusp height. Again, that's something that you're going to see time and time again through all these operations. Same thing for the surface quality in the advanced page there. That's for most of the operations. You're going to see that, which, again, those items are not available in the standard UI. Let's go over to Guage Check, because tool axis control, we're assuming this is for users that are utilizing a 3-axis machine, but just want a little bit extra control. So unless you do have the multi-axis package, this is 3-axis, obviously. So now in Guage Check, we do have Guage Check, obviously. When you select, we don't have anything selected because I don't have a real job in here. But as we come through here, we'll say we have our feature geometry. You'll notice the advanced UI does give you a little bit extra control as far as what we're checking against. In the standard, we have the tool and the tool holder. In here, you can really get into the nitty gritty as far as, maybe you just want the flute for some reason. Maybe you want the shaft, the flute, and the arbor, not the holder. Who knows why you'd want that, but you can go ahead and select them all. It gives you that control in the advanced. We do have the same basic strategies here. Retrack and trim and relink toolpath are what's available in the standard. When you get into the advanced, you can also just stop the toolpath calculation and also report the collisions. If you're reporting, you'll be able to see that in the remaining collision section. And then, of course, all your how you're going to handle things are all available in there. Advanced. Yeah, I mean, we do have a little less, but to be fair, a lot of these options, like move along, Z. Well, no, you can still all use this. Yeah, there's nothing really multi-axis in here since we're in 3-axis. So you do have quite a few more options in there, even as far as how you retract your tool. One thing I will show you, though, is the advanced button in here. The advanced button, this kind of has to do with our point distribution as well. You'll see down here, where is it? Oh, yes, Guage Check between positions. So if you did have a big flat surface and you did have those point distributions real loose, so you have a good amount of distance between them on a flat surface, we don't really check for collisions. Software in general doesn't really do that between those points. It's kind of checked at each individual point. This does, though, kind of allow you to check those gouges between point positions, which is pretty nice. And even report minimum shaft length, which is going to alert you if you're trying to do something that what you have selected for the tool and its protrusion is not capable of. So that's cool. You'll see these advanced options definitely would come in handy in a lot of cases here. Next, we have our linking page. Now, links, this kind of tackles a couple different pages. You'll see in the standard UI, Yes, we do have some links, whether you're doing within groups or between groups, and a couple options. But obviously, the other thing that comes into play is leads. Leads is on a different page in the standard UI. We'll be able to choose entry, whether it's plunge or ramp, kind of how that's happening, whether we want to use a lead out. Over in the advanced UI, though, we do have the ramps. We also have the retracts, which kind of decide everything. And then in here, we'll be able to say whether we use our ramp, don't use our ramp, for a lot of different things even. You'll see in the first group here, we have our entry and exit. So for our first entry, how do we want to approach it? For our last exit, how do we want to exit? And from that, are we going to start from a home position? Are we going to return to the home position? Start from max Z, return to max Z. These are all things that we don't really have available in the standard. With area links, you'll see all the different options we have in here for each link type, whether it's a direct, and you'll notice in this image here changing, direct, blended spline, retract to feed, retract to rapid, or retract to clearance. And again, within groups, between groups, what do we want to do for each? Now between slices, what do we want to do? Between regions, what do we want to do? And then again, that retract page that goes real deep. Being able to set the height, interpolation, tilt angles, well, that's not really going to apply to your 3-axis. Distances for your entry, exit, all of that, radial clearances, etc. Nothing quite like that in the standard UI. Standard UI will definitely get you by. A lot of people use that, and really advanced UI is something that we just started offering. But the people that really like to drill down and have control over every little aspect, you can see why this would be a benefit if that's you. So next, we have our roughing page. In the roughing page, you do have some additional stock options, kind of how you want to handle the stock, which isn't available in the standard. In the advanced, we're able to add some smoothing. Most of this stuff is here, but again, the organization's a little bit different. In there, we're going to do it in the options page, in the advanced, where we have those kind of roughing options. And then whether we're pre-drilling, kind of how that's done, which positions, if there is going to be some pre-drill done to kind of get into that part for us. Now in utilities, we also have a feed rate control. This is going to be similar to the advanced the advanced feed rates page in the advanced rough. You'll see in the standard UI, we do have some general overrides, whether we want to convert the rapid to the feed, the link feed rate, and whether we're trying to do adaptive, like a volume-based kind of attack to it. Whereas over here, we can actually control a feed rate zone. We can specify a certain area of that part where we want to move a different speed, where maybe anything from maybe close to fixtures, you're going to be trying to move a little bit more carefully, or just a different surface finish you're trying to get in that area. You'll also see we have a feed rate for link group with your area links, links between slices, links between regions. We're able to control all of those speeds differently, which are pretty cool. All right, so we're going to step off of that for a second and move over. Give me 1 second to take a sip here. And we're actually going through a little bit quicker than I thought when I was doing a little run through here. So let's look at a couple quick things. We'll hop over to the equidistant offset. Going to the standard on the right again, and the advanced on the left. All right, so in our equidistant offset, we do have an option to exclude undercut areas in the in the area group. We do have a high speed option. The high speed option actually kind of gives you a few different options, because what it's made to do quickly is flat areas, and this is for toolpath calculation. It's going to take an advanced part and it's going to kind of speed up the calculation for you. This is going to focus on the fillets of the part mainly, as far as trying to give you the best calculation speed. So you do lose a couple options when you're choosing at high speed, but yeah, that is one thing that we don't have available in the standard. So yes, we can exclude undercut areas. Again, you'll notice our silhouette containment. And you'll notice too, as we click this, different options are available, whether we're choosing high speed or not. You'll see the UI changing for us. So now in the sorting area, we do have a flip Stepover option. This is going to kind of change which direction your part is coming from, well, which direction your tool path is starting from on the part, I should say. And we do have an overlap as well, which controls how far the links are moving over each other. You'll notice the cusp height as well. And again, surface quality options go above and beyond from the standard. Same thing with the Guage Check, where we do have those more advanced options for you. Now links. So in here, what we'll be able to kind of show off is for your finishing tool paths, how your leads are handled. In the standard, we do have some different leads. For every little group in the links page of the advanced UI, though, we're going to be able to choose whether it has a lead in, whether it has a lead out, or whether we're using both or none. Now, for each one of those, you of course don't get to set different for each type. However, you can set up which you're using in general. Now, you'll notice here, let me scoot this over a little bit. Not a whole lot of options when it comes to leads in the standard. Of course, you have your plunge, parallel, circular, and for entries, plunge, ramp, spiral. When you get into the advanced UI, you can do a whole lot. We have tangential arcs, reverse tangential arcs, so it kind of swoops in and then kicks back. Vertical tangent, reverse vertical tangent, orthogonal, tangential, orthogonal line. I mean, anything you could possibly want in here. We do have them, including automatic arcs, which kind of does a little magic to keep everything in smooth. This is kind of like a blended spline, taking your entry move and then your first run along the actual part and putting a blended spline between them to get it nice and smooth. But again, these options are just way above and beyond what's available in the standard. And then, of course, you can set your rate. Well, here, let me choose a more basic one here. And, of course, you can choose how those arcs are created, the heights, feed rate amount, extensions, etc. And, of course, you can have a different lead in that you have a lead out. And I should point out, too, anything you do on the, let's do just something here. We'll do 3, we'll do 1, we'll do 75. Next week, well, we just want 89 out of 90. So we do all this work and we want the lead out the same. copy it over, and you can have the lead outs exactly match. Now, once you're done with that, click OK. And now that we've defined what our lead in is, and we've defined what our lead out is, again, as we move through these items here, link between slice, between passes, all that, we'll be able to decide for each whether those leads are applied. So a whole lot of power in there. Definitely nice to go through and be able to tweak things like you need them tweaked. So next we have roughing. In here, we do have options to be able to kind of pattern this inside of the operation itself, whether it's a transform where we're going to, kind of translate it, move where it is, or even a rotate around. And then also the option to mirror that toolpath. And then still with the utility, again, you'll see some of these stay the same. Feed rate control, use rapid feed rate. And that'll be for pretty much all of these finishes, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. I don't think there's one that does not have that. Yeah, so that's going to be standard for all of them. All right, so next let's take a quick look at advanced planar. Now that we've gone through these, and there's only a couple of things that kind of differentiate themselves by operation. For instance, I was showing you they all have the cusp height. They all have the advanced gouge options. They all have the utility page. A lot of them have the same types of things that go above and beyond the standard. There are a couple things that are specific to those operations, obviously. So I'll try to hit a couple of those real quick. And again, I've been kind of peeking over. It doesn't look like anyone has any specific questions yet. But yeah, I guess I'll leave a couple minutes at the end. Looks like we're down to the last 17 minutes here. So maybe we'll use the last 7 minutes or whatever, just to kind of see if anybody has any questions or would like to see something specific. All right, so now we are in the advanced planar. All right. Can cusp height be defined for slanted walls? I believe it is defined for slanted walls. Let me make. Yeah, I think when you're setting the cusp height, it applies that differently to the walls. We can probably do a quick little test at the end to verify that. I'll make a little note here. But yeah, definitely a good question. I think it does handle calculations appropriately for that, by the way. All right, so surface paths and the advanced planar. Where are we at here? Okay, so here's the above and beyond items. This one also has a high speed option to kind of give you that quick calculation. And while we're here, I'll give you a look at this. So this is actually an option that's coming out in V37. This will be available in the standard UI as well. While we're here, I might as well give you a peek. Rather than having to figure out how to define which angle would be best for a given surface, we do have an upcoming optimal machine angle in XY. And what that does is it basically looks at a surface, takes its longest surface, and figures out what angle that is to then match. And what's cool is here, let me show you. I don't think I have the part handy, but I do have a cool little image for it. Hurry up. Oh, yeah, sorry. All right, what's new? Bam, bam. Optimized. There we go. Where'd you go? There we go. So yeah, for the same part, we'll actually utilize different angles for each little section of the part, which is obviously pretty cool. You can see in this case, we'll be using that. So for each item where it does have that longer surface, it's going to match the optimum angle of that surface. So that's actually kind of cool. And that's, again, an option that's going to be coming to our new V37 coming out here. Let's see. Yeah, so we do have a trim to flute length, where again, that's going to kind of limit how far down that part, I guess I should say, how far down the tool path is going to go to ensure that we're not going past the flute length of the tool. So that's just kind of a nice little check where you don't have to think about it too much. It's going to do that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. This also does have undercuts, and currently I'm having to do this. You'll notice we're having an issue in the new version where we kind of had to do a workaround with our module works dialog here, but you will not have to be doing this when it does release. This is actually still in the standard, but there's that issue currently. But anyway, this gives you the minimum undercutting depth and to check surface for your undercuts. So when you are undercutting, you can double check. Make sure you're not going to gouge into any items. And again, that's silhouette containment, advanced surface quality, cusp height, gouge check. So yeah, and here it's mainly just the trim to flute length and the undercuts that's special to it. Moving on to project curves. Let's see what we have in there. That's actually the same. Options in there are also that trim to flute length, silhouette containment, and the reverse sorting. Well, here we'll show the reverse sorting. So yeah, in the patterns, of course, we can choose the method and all that, choose the Stepover, yada, yada. When we do get into the advanced UI, though, we do also have the option to reverse what direction that toolpath is moving along. Advanced Z level, let's hop in there. All right, so the advanced Z level, it also does have the high-speed calculation option, which again kind of tweaks what options you have at your disposal. But in here, we do have an option to exclude the undercut areas, where what that's doing for you is, well, essentially, if there is an undercut, it's not going to kind of go down to the bottom of the part cutting air. It will actually just stop trying to cut those areas where there is an undercut. We also do have the edge rolling. This is the option I was talking about earlier, where here I'll have to pull it up in the help. There we go. Oh no, this is the Z level. Advanced surface paths. That's in the area group. There we go. So yeah, with the edge rolling, that's going to put additional cuts along the top. So it's going to give you a nice edge there. It's almost not quite a deburring, but does give you a little better finish along the top of top edges of your part there. And again, you can see that silhouette containment. overlap options, etc. Now the steep shallow, I don't believe we really have anything specific to the steep shallow that, because this one's a combination of your equidistant and z-level advanced or your planar and z-level advanced. So since we've kind of gone over the z-level, the planar, and the equidistant, I don't believe there is going to be anything specific to this that we haven't talked about. Yeah, because it's basically a combination of those two operations. All right, so let's do this. We'll do this in 36. See if we can come up with a quick way to test this. I'm going to play around with quick, see if we can get into a good example of this cusp height. So if you have any questions while I'm playing around with this, feel free to ask them, and then we'll try to get with you and get those questions answered. My idea here is I'm going to create a cube. In this cube, we're going to extrude this guy on the draft angle. Ooh, that's the wrong way. Let's throw a negative on him. We'll bring it up a little higher, just so we're not. Right, boop, boop. All right. So what I'm thinking is, that if we throw a quick Z level on this guy with a particular cusp height, we should be able to see. Got a ball end, good. So we'll go in the advanced. Oh, I know what we can do. Oh, that's weird. That's showing up that way. Let's see. Well, it's all tweaking out. All right. Am I having that problem full screen in 37? Advanced. We should have the ball. No, I don't know. All right, so let's see. Advanced level. No, that's going to be the equi. Yeah, we got geometry selected for the feature. All right, cusp height. So let's go. Let's see, we got a minimum. Well, it should not really matter, but we tell you what, we will go with something kind of loose here. That's pretty darn loose. That should give us something pretty quick, I believe. And I'm going to finish this so we don't compute all the operations here. We're just going to compute the equi. All right. And the reason I'm thinking this, let's edit the toolpath. We're going to pick those. I'm going to create a new layer. We're going to pull the geometry from these. Hide the original and hide the toolpath. Yeah, we can already kind of see it right here, it looks like. So if we evaluate this to this is on the floor of our part. We are 0.43 away. If we look at this chain, If you look at this and this, yeah, 0.3 away. So yeah, it definitely does look like it's handling the walls differently than the floor to give us the proper cusp height in general. So yeah, if you would agree with that, I think I'm thinking about that the right way. But any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions, feel free to bounce. Very nice having you here. Again, I don't even know if I had a microphone at the time when I was saying it, but my name is Matthew Beazle. That's exactly what I need to do. Thanks. You are welcome. Absolutely no problem. But yeah, my name is Matthew Beazle. I write the help system at Bobcat Cam. As you're going through the help system, which again, I try to keep it as organized as possible, just like you're going through the software. You go through it. If you have any questions, concerns, something you don't see, something you want to see, whatever, feel free to reach out. Let us know. Love to get your input. But yeah, if you have any questions, ask away. I'm going to kind of just sit here for a few. If you don't, thanks for coming. Have a good one. Will this video be available to review? That's I'm not sure what they do with this. I am a stand-in. I believe so. Let me ask real quick. But that probably should have been something I recorded. Maybe. Let me check. Um, So I reached out. I'm trying to see if these are recorded. Like I said, that actually may have been something I was supposed to do, and I'm a stand-in, so forgive me. However, if you did need to see the software for a question, like maybe you're trying to buy the new stuff so you can get the advanced UI, feel free to call in. We got demo guys. They'll hop on with you, show you whatever you want to see. And here, I'm going to mute 1 second so I can make a call on that to see if we're going to have this or not. Be right back to you. Yeah, no problem, sir. And again, I'll check on this with a phone call and be right back in a sec. Okay, yeah, it looks like it records automatically, and it does look like they make this available to customers. So yeah, this should be available to view at a later time. Don't know when that is, but whenever it usually is, I guess. So we'll see. Let's see. Mark says, if I get the trend, is this latest move to put Surface Pass stuff in a 3-axis Pro? Yeah, basically. The I mean, it is still triangle mesh based, but does give you the higher end options. Yeah, so let's see, we're still recording. Well, we're still on, so I'll show you real quick. If we go into our multi-axis, these are all the surface-based tool paths, which, if you have 3-axis premium, you have these at your fingertips as well. It's same basic UI. I'll show you. Yeah, same basic UI you can see here. So not surface based. It still is the triangular mesh based, but definitely does give you some more options. Oh, let's see, if you have 4-axis premium, I believe I'm going to double check on that one. Like, for instance, I know if you have 4-axis Pro, then you should automatically have 3-axis Pro. You know what I mean? Oh, and yeah, I was told this webinar here is going to appear automatically on our website, the recording of it, so that's not a problem. But yeah, as far as I would imagine, if you have 4-axis premium, you have 3-axis premium as well. Don't quote me on that. That's more of the sales question. I don't know how they kind of chop up the different modules there. But yeah, if you give us a shout, they'll be happy to tell you that for sure. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll wait one more second to see if anybody's got anything else. But yeah, if not, we'll wrap this up. And again, I did get an answer on that, where this will be available to view on the website here coming up soon. Again, in the meantime, if you guys have any questions on the help system, feel free to hit us up. If you have any questions on, what you have in your package compared to another, obviously give them a call. They'll be happy to go over all that with you. But until next time, you guys have a good day.